Good morning, everyone. Nice to be with you. It's so good to see all of you, and in particular, I noticed Dick Veith, who taught at the seminary for a very long time, and our guest Yudai and Michitaka from Japan. It's joy to see all of your faces. Back in March, we closed our campuses, shut down businesses, shut down a lot of our lives because of this new and very scary epidemic. Back then, how long did you think that would last? I was ready for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks maybe. What about you? Here at the seminary, we still thought we would graduate in person and in May. We expected to have a meal with the alumni under the tent right outside the Lark building. We didn't like the transition to chapel and class on Zoom, staying home, feeling extremely creepy at the grocery store, right? Where our neighbors are there with masks and they're a threat to us. We felt for people who couldn't afford not to work, for people who couldn't afford to shut down their businesses. But hey, maybe we thought 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. At my house, we were lucky, we're healthy, still getting paid. Jennifer and I could go for a walk before work, in the middle of the day, after work. We played Monopoly with my stepsons. We ate better for a while. 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. How long was that going to last? So we pick up our story in Exodus. Our ancestors are out in the wilderness. God has delivered them from enslavement in Egypt. And here they are. Now what? Because here's the thing. They don't know it's going to be 40 years. We know because we've read the story. They don't know. They don't know how they're going to survive just the next few days. No food, no water sources, no idea really where they're headed because none of them have ever seen it. They don't know. So let's not beat up on the Israelites. Let's not pile on them. It's true, the Exodus story gives you one cycle after another. God delivers the people, they find a reason to complain. God provides for the people, they prove disobedient. God saves, they wander. Already happened once in the story. The people leave Egypt, bad old Pharaoh chases them with his army. The people are frightened, and so they say, was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us out into this wilderness? For the people of Israel, sure enough, know how to throw some shade. Moses, didn't we ask you just leave us alone? And there's this thing Moses has going with God. When the people stray, they have their side conversations. Then Yahweh said to Moses. God consults with Moses. They hatch up a plan. Usually it works out. And this cycle repeats itself. It will continue beyond Exodus into Judges and Samuel and Kings and into the story of the prophets. And eventually, after the people wander time and time again, we'll come to the Assyrians and the Babylonians, the spear, the famine, the siege. And so it's easy to pile on the Israelites, and I suggest we not do it. For it's one thing to tell a story hundreds of years after the events being described. It's another thing to have read it for a few thousand years. But y'all, it's an entirely different thing to be out in the wilderness with no survival skills, no sure direction, no idea how you and your household are going to survive. That's an entirely different thing. And the people of Israel have no idea how long this is going on. They don't know it's going to be 40 years. They don't know most of them are going to be dead before anybody enters this promised land. They have no perspective for looking back at the story and making some kind of sense out of it. So let's not be harsh. How much is enough? And how long is too long? Let's be real. What are our expectations? How much is enough? And how long is too long? Somebody famous said fatigue makes cowards of us all. We've all experienced this reality. Runners learn to keep our eyes ahead, finding milestones out in front to trick ourselves into thinking we're making progress. We forget that our legs are tired and our lungs are burning, because if we look down, the fatigue strikes, right? And we start feeling sorry for ourselves. Our determination wavers. And here we are, called by God, pursuing a promise, owning vocation, and darn it, fatigued, stressed by isolation. If we're caregivers, stressed by being caregivers and then feeling individually isolated, socially stressed, financially stressed, politically stressed, just stressed. And in that state, we're moving forward together. We're pursuing learning. We're engaged in ministry. The field ed covenants hold the promise of new learning experiences. Those of you who are on time did that for Melvin. New students, y'all have just completed your first class. Landmark experiences like your mid-career review, CPE, cross-cultural preparation, remind us that we are headed somewhere. So we're moving forward, but sometimes it feels like we're wandering at the same time. Nourishment can be hard to come by. We look at the same walls and screens every day, the same goofy faces in class. And how much is enough? How long is too long? In scary movies, there's always that one character who just can't stand hiding in the basement anymore. Whatever the threat is, whether it's zombies or aliens or Nazis, that one character just has to burst out of the basement in desperation. Because if fatigue makes cowards of us all, what do we need from God? What do we need from God in this long moment? How much is enough? And how long is too long? One thing about this Exodus story, it may remind us of the old movie Groundhog Day, where the Bill Murray character wakes up day after day to the same thing, lives the same day over and over. Every morning, the Israelites wake up to the same thing. Story tells us manna is like cake baked with oil, like wafers made with honey. Sounds like a yummy snack to try out on vacation Bible school students. But every day, every day, every day, that's the thing. Every day, God's provision for the people appears. Every day, whether it's what they want or how they want it, or on the timeline they think they can sustain, every day, God provides for God's people. Every day, God proves faithful. Every day, God is present. And I don't know about you, but I don't look for God enough every day. In the fog of early morning, I check my calendar just in case I forgot a commitment. Look for text messages from the kids. Lounge around until I can get motivated to work out. Stumble through breakfast. Every day looks pretty much the same with me these days. Yet, every day God is present. Every day God is faithful. Every day God provides. Every day God provides an opportunity to meet God, to say thank you, to meditate on the newness of God's mercies. Book of Lamentations tells us the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. God's mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is God's faithfulness. Every day. Every day. Amen.